Welcome to Morning Momentum with Coffey, a podcast that's dedicated to motivating you with inspiring stories through the power of momentum. Each week, business growth leader, international speaker, trainer, coach, and author Betti Coffey sits down with a new industry leader to find out who they are, what they're doing, and how the power of momentum drives them towards success. Because when you've got momentum, stuff gets done, things happen, and you're on top of the world. You can accomplish anything. And that's what this show is all about, creating unstoppable momentum. It's Morning Momentum with Coffey. Take it away, Betti.
Welcome to the Morning Momentum with Coffey podcast, where you know that if you have the right mindset and momentum behind you, you can absolutely accomplish anything. This show today is all about taking your game and increasing it tenfold. Wait till you find out who my guest is. But I got some questions for you first, okay? What do rock stars, musicians, athletes, CEOs, and business leaders all have in common? They're always on their game. They are always prepared, rehearsed, and ready to rock and roll. They're great at what they do. Absolutely great. How often have you gone to a sports event or watched a musician or a great speaker or a wonderful leader talk and inspire? They're great at what they do. But you know what? They also have to be flexible. They've got to sell their concept, their performance, their vision, and they want to do it with sizzle. Now, during COVID, we've got to have so much sizzle, it's unbelievable, just to keep people's attention. How many of you are watching, the Brady Bunch pictures, the squares up there, while you're giving a presentation, and people are like, they're multitasking. They're putting you on hold. That they're walking out of their room or feeding their dogs or doing their laundry. You just know it, and it drives you crazy. Well, how would you like to have that phenomenal sizzle, that phenomenal rock star quality where you've captured their attention and you're not letting it go no matter what? That's what this show is all about. It's not only to make a great presentation, it's also how to stand out, how to shine, how to play to win your audience's trust and attention. And that's really, really hard during COVID. It is so hard during COVID. Now, everybody, if you are giving any type of a speech or any type of a message, you've got to have strategy. You've got to refocus your game plan. You've got to reinvent your performance style. And we all know you have to rehearse like crazy just to get it right. My guest today is Robin Creasman, and he is an absolute pro. He's an award-winning television producer. Are you all noticing I'm not doing this today without my glasses? I usually do the bio. So, Robin, if I call you by the wrong name, it's because I don't have my glasses on.
Bobby, John, Tom, that all works. No problem.
Thank you, Robin. Robin is a motivational keynote speaker. He's an absolute pro at this and a coach. He's a former touring musician and recording artist with USA Records and an entertainment industry expert known as the Rockstar speaker and presentation coach. He teaches presentation and performance strategies from the world of music and television. This is where we're up in our game, guys. From the world of music and television on how to wow, woo, and win your audience. The 3 W's. I love that. Wow, woo, win. Wow, woo, win. I love that. By delivering a rock star experience every time you speak, every time you open your mouth. How well you perform, how well you communicate, how well you connect with your audience determines if they're going to follow you, listen to you, believe in you, and give you buy-in. So that's what Robin Creasman's all about. And Robin, welcome to Morning Momentum with Coffey.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you, Betti. I'm so happy to be with you guys.
I'm thrilled to have you on board. I really am. You are such a phenomenal rock star. And I had a bigger bio, but I wanted to get right to you. But I really want you during our podcast here to share some of the people that you've worked with. It's phenomenal. I'm just honored to know you, sir.
Well, don't go that far. I'm just a lucky guy. Been in the music and television business my whole career, and then speaking as well. And most of that was as a musician early on, touring musician, played with a lot of different pop bands from the 80s, Huey Lewis and the News, Starship, Firefall, the Pointer Sisters, a whole bunch of folks. And then we were on Star Search prior to that and lost the $100,000 grand prize to country band Sawyer Brown back in the day, for anyone remembers Star Search. Then I went in the record business. I was a marketing director for 4 years for a contemporary Christian label, part of Word Records. And then I got into television. One of my longtime mentors brought me into television and opened up a whole new world to me that gave me opportunities that were beyond my imagination. Short story is that we've produced over 300 hours of broadcast television for NBC, TNN, CMT, the CW network, ESPN, a variety of things with country music stars and pop stars from Trisha Yearwood to Vince Gill to Brooks and Dunn, Joe Diffie, Pam Tillis, George Jones and Tammy Wynette, Waylon Jennings. Did a special on the life of Buddy Holly that had 17 artists. So from Levon Helm and the band to Mark Knopfler to Paul McCartney, just a host of folks that we got to work with and interview and feature. And then 5 specials with Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR driver, and the 50th anniversary of NASCAR for ESPN and the very first program of NASCAR on NBC.
Oh my God.
The point of that is that I was afforded an opportunity because of my job to be front and center with people that were amazingly known as rock stars. They were it. They were the bomb, the best of the best in what they did. And I learned from that so much. And having come from the music until the music side before that as a performer and entertainer, I was keenly aware of what was going on, but to see it at that level was huge. Because my band, we got pretty close, but we didn't quite make it over the hump. So watching a little bit from the afar was cool, but getting front and center, where I'm on a tour bus with these guys for a week, learning what they're doing, their routines and everything, it was huge. And then I got involved in professional speaking. My second gig after I went out on my own from my production company was for the International Speakers Bureau. And they wanted me to do a live event for them. Long story short, in that, I came in and officed inside their building down the hall from Vince Vicente and Amanda Gore, 2 Hall of Fame speakers. And they ISB paraded all these speakers into my office to say, can you help us with your presentation skills and videos on these artists, on these speakers? And I said, okay. And so I got to work with over 140 different speakers during that period of time, producing videos and coaching with them and marketing. And so I've worked with some of the best in the business as a speaker. And so all of that combined, I think gives me a little bit of credibility in that I know performance. I know what it means to be on stage. I know how to what you need to do to stand out on stage. And so that's where I come from. That's what I coach. That's what I teach. And I went back into television a few years ago and did a series for the CW network called Troubadour Texas, which was about 22 artists on their journey to success as a singer-songwriter. We did 22 one-hour episodes every season, went for 4 years on the CW network. And then after I finished that, I moved down to the Hill Country. And now we're kind of chilling out down here. And I'm
awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm just thrilled to have you on the show. So let's go ahead. I've got a couple questions I want to ask you.
Yes.
With COVID, we are in the era of COVID right now. What do you see as the state of speaking and training and coaching and people working on virtual presentations? What's our state right now? What do you think?
Well, things have changed, obviously, no doubt about it. And I don't believe that we're going to go back to what we used to know and what we used to do anytime soon. We may, and I hope we do. Hybrids may come along where we're actually in the room sometimes and then virtually putting it out. But virtual is saving a lot of companies and meetings and events money, number one, and offering their opportunities to more people to see them. Problem is, most of them are pretty boring. Most of them are pretty bad. And we've got to change what we think of, how we think as speakers, in order to get out of the mindset of, okay, good is good enough. The problem is most of us never were event planners. Most of us were never head of the AV department. Most of us have never really worked with video before, certainly not produced a television show or any kind of production that would have any kind of sizzle to it. And most of us, as you've seen thousands of them, are people on Zoom calls that are just totally worn out. And bad lighting, bad cameras, bad audio, bad placement to the camera. Right now, I'm looking right into the lens, and I could be looking down here at seeing you, Betti, and seeing me talking here, but that's natural because we want to see each other talk, or at least I want to see when you're talking to me. But the point of the matter is, if I'm not looking directly into that lens of that camera, then it feels, I don't want to say inauthentic because that's not the right word, but it feels awkward. It feels like you're not talking to me. And I've seen so many interviews with people where they're looking away from the person. And when you're in person and having a conversation with your friends and they're talking to you and they're not looking at you, they're looking away from you. Maybe they're looking at another person, but they never come to you. Do you feel slighted? I do.
Absolutely.
If just you one-on-one, which that's what's happening now with virtual presentations, it's the speaker and the person in their office or their bedroom or in their kitchen watching their computer. There's no, hello, y'all. It's, how are you doing? It's you're talking to a single person. So if you're in a conversation, you're talking to a single person and you're over there, you're not talking to them, you're not looking at them, and they're getting, excited about stuff, but they're not really addressing you, it feels awkward. So that's one thing, you got to stay inside the lens. There's so many things that we need to learn and adapt to bring what we do on stage into virtual. And here's a sad thing, but it's also a good thing for most of us. There are many speakers that rock the stage. I mean, live, in person, they are so good. They've got their presentation down. They know how to work the audience. They know they've got IMAG screens on the side. They're big stage. They're working it, moving it. They're connecting with people in the audience. They've got it down. And they get booked all the time and get paid a lot of money. Some of those speakers, if not many of those speakers, have not translated that rock stardom, if you will. And I use the word rock star thing all the time. It's about being the best of you. It's not about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's none of that stuff. But they're not bringing their A game to virtual. So quite honestly, it's leveled the playing field for everybody who is a speaker.
That's true for the industry. You're right.
If anyone who's desiring to be a speaker can up their game and play at the A level in virtual, they're going to be in demand. They are, because the competition is shrunk. It's just so much easier to get to the head of the game than what it used to be if you do it right. So yes, it's changed.
One of the things, things have changed. And one of the things, I hate being with new people I haven't met before or meeting them and I'm wearing the mask because they can't tell if I'm smiling. They can't tell if I'm mad. They can't tell if I'm sticking my tongue out right now, right?
That's right.
I've got the mask on. But, oh my gosh, when you can bring your A game to a virtual presentation, no matter what you are, a CEO, a leader, anybody who's speaking to a group, and you can show them that you care. You can smile, you can be embracing, you can be warm and show that warmth and that invitation that you really, truly do care. We miss that. And we could actually take these virtual Zooms or whatever people are using and make them work for you because you're seeing the real person and you're really getting the real personality. And you're getting, I know they're virtual hugs, but by gosh, they're hugs. Okay?
Yes.
And we got to take advantage of this. And when we can even elevate our game to a Rockstar performance, we're really good. I love that.
You're right on. You're right on.
So tell me, you've talked a lot about working in the music and television business, and oh my gosh, your pedigree is phenomenal. How can I truly be a Carrie Underwood? How can I truly bring that rock star persona to my presentations, to their opening acts, and not just want to be a wannabe? How can I really up my game that way? What do you mean when you say up your game to a rock star performance? And how's little old Betti going to do that?
It's a great question, and I thought maybe since we talked earlier, maybe you might ask me that. So let me show you something here for a second.
Oh, good.
First of all, you got to think differently. You got to think bigger And so how well you perform, you communicate, and you connect with people will determine whether or not they want to buy from you, work with you, or follow you. So you got to think bigger than that first, right? But if you want to get to a place where you're really a rock star, there you go. That is a big difference. There's Carrie Underwood. There's Keith Urban.
I didn't even know you were going to do that.
I love those guys. Now, that's Rockstar. That's a headlining mindset. Now, granted, it's a different world. They got a lot of money, record labels, marketing, all behind them. I get that. We're not going to be able to do that. Although, in the live event days, when we were actually speaking on stage, there were some events that were doing this type of thing. The production was over the top. It really was. And so then the speaker that they brought in, had to live up to that level of energy and production. And that was happening. But it's changed now. Now, you know Tony Robbins.
Absolutely.
Tony Robbins just did an event, a virtual event with 30,000 attendees. And they had cameras all around this big sound stage with the individuals that were watching in the room. And he worked a stage about the size of that and did the Tony Robbins thing that he does so well. And it was pretty spectacular. Again, that's the unique one of a kind. But that's a headlining act. Now you've got some midline acts that aren't quite there yet, but they're opening acts for players. They've gotten a record deal and they've moved on. I remember when we first, in my band, we actually started in Dallas, by the way. Backstreet was the name of our band. And we were the top 5 band in Texas 4 years in a row by Billboard magazine, won the Dallas Observer 4 years in a row, best pop band. And we had gotten on Star Search, and then we got a record deal. So we were local heroes for a while, about 3 or 4 years. And when we got our record deal, we became an opening act. And that's when we got to play with all these other bands. And I'll never forget, our label was telling us, guys, you were the big fish in a small pond before. Now you've just stepped into the game. So your peers, your now competition, are Bryan Adams, Rick Springfield, the Doobie Brothers, bands like that were Loverboy, Night Ranger, that were top of the charts in pop music. Well, as a speaker, when you get out of the local market and you're actually doing paid, high dollar paid, whatever high dollar is to you, and you're traveling to events and you're on the big stage, you're the main keynoter, you've now stepped into the arena. Now, everybody that speaks professionally is your competition. Now, one thing I love about NSA, the heart and soul of non-competitiveness is wonderful. Yet, in truth, we are, because someone else going to get paid for that speaking gig and I didn't. So in other words, you're my competition. And I need to know my competition, who they are. And we were told exactly who it was, and it scared the begoodies out of us. And it should, because now we've got to up our game. So the Michaela sisters are one of my artists that went out on Troubadour. They got signed, and they were touring some with some country bands regionally, and didn't quite make it. They're still working it, but they're kind of there, but they look cool. They've got great songs, great production, so they've upped their game. But you also have the local yokels. They're local bands that play down at the Holiday Inn or the Tavern, whatever, and they're doing what they want to do. Now, that might be the only thing that they're dreaming of. That may be enough, and that's totally fine. If you want to be a regional or local speaker, no problem. But you've got to understand the distinction and the difference. Now, here's what's interesting. These guys, they have to know how to play the guitar.
Yep.
They've got to learn songs. They've got to write songs if they want to go on further, but they're certainly got to learn songs. They've got to go on stage. They've got to get all this equipment together. So there's no difference from that person and Keith Urban. He has to play the guitar. He has to learn to write songs. He's got to know how to manage all the production and so forth. So some of the fundamentals are the same. It's just what you do with it, how far you take it, is going to make the difference. So you've got to think bigger, and you've got to start with the mindset. You've got to be intentional about what it is. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's wonderful. And boy, would I love those audiences in that kind of a stage. But for normal people like me, or normal leaders or organizations that have got these weekly meetings going on, and if they want to up their momentum, they want to up the momentum in their organizations, and they need the venue to do that and get people enthused and excited again. How can they start out with the basics and then go on from there?
Well, first of all, momentum is a great word. I know that's the name of your podcast here. And when you get the mindset of having that rockstar mindset, that propels you with momentum. That's going to give you so much pizzazz and so much energy. It's going to force you to go forward. Now, here's probably one of the biggest issues that I saw in all my time with at NSA and working and coaching with speakers. Again, you got to remember, I did over 140 different keynote speaker videos, demo videos, where they would send me their footage and I would go through, Zach's like he's going to be doing with this podcast, going through and pulling out the best of the best so you can come out with the 7 to 15 minute back in the day video. And that video was your calling card. If you rocked on those videos, then you got more bookings. And the scale of what it meant to rock is pretty wide, because some of those down at the bottom really weren't. But what I found is that there are a lot of speakers who actually had good presentation skills, but their message, it didn't really have, no one was really Googling that topic of their message. Mm-hmm. You know, you hear a rock song or a hit song on the radio, and you immediately want to go find it and you want to look for it. And if your topic is not searchable, if it's not something that people are really interested in, then your opportunity is going to be less than those that have in-demand topics. That's just common sense in anything, in business whatsoever. Retail, you go to the supermarket and there's tons of products on the shelf. But those that stand out are going to be those that are memorable, that have had advertising behind them, or they taste really good, someone told you about them. But the 4 or 5 other boxes on either side may equally have great packaging, may equally have great ingredients, may equally taste as well, but they don't stand out. So you've got to have something that people are interested in, number one. And number two, wherever you are, just like that local band a moment ago, you can rock the house and have a crowd and be a rock star right in that community, in that niche market, if you will, if you're doing what that niche audience wants. So clearly you've got to know who your audience is and what they're expecting. Then you've got to deliver that and up it up a little bit. So roundabout way of answering your question, relative to where we are right now, there's some equipment issues that you've got to deal with. There's some technology issues you've got to deal with. You've got to bring some of that into your world. Right now, I've got a lot of stuff around me here.
And tell me what you've got, because, okay, so we know we've got to have a topic that's got sizzle, that's going to be relevant, that people are going to want to listen to. And then we need to up our game, think bigger. Show me what you've got. Give us a little demo of what you've got. And oh my gosh, I hope my listeners are watching this, not just listening to it, because you're about to blow their brains away, I know. But anyway, yeah. So show us how they can up their game just a little bit on up to big, okay?
And don't take what I'm going to show you. I'm in a bedroom. Was my office, basically. And I've turned that into a little studio. Now, you don't have to go this far. I've been in television. I've been in production, so I feel comfortable in this world. But here's my room. Looking from the door. If you were to come in the hall of my office and look in this way, down there is my guitar wall. And there's a side of my equipment. Now, what's interesting, I'm not standing in front of my wall today, actually on this side. I'm standing in front of a green screen. Most green screens are pretty cheesy, but it can help you with your production if you've got this stuff, because you see all these scenes that I'm using and I'm changing and I'm standing in front of my camera, in front of the scenes. That's because of the green screen. So you can see my desk over there, whoops, on that side. Let me show you a picture of that. So here's my desk. And that's what it looks like. I've got a laptop, a monitor in the middle. I've got another computer on the other side. I've got the 2 lights above. I've got 2 shotgun mics coming out that way. And most importantly, I'm using software that's allowing me to manipulate my screens and add all these backgrounds to it. And that's a game changer. But I'm also can have these other locations like this. If I wanted to, use this in a speaking situation, I'm just talking. I want to have some space in the room. And I want to be different. I don't want to sit down. I don't want to be a webinar person.
No.
I'm even standing up in the podcast, and not everyone needs to do that. I like to do it just because it gives me more energy. But as a speaker, when you're being hired to go speak, even virtually, man, you need to stand up. You need to stand up. So if you don't have all of this stuff, which most likely you won't, then have at least a nice background that's either plain with a few little items on there, or something that you could maybe even bring in your projector. If you're a trainer, you have your own projector, and throw something on the wall, or do overlays with your PowerPoints.
Robin, let me ask you a question. So what is the physical size of that room? So people know that they don't have to like take over their family room to do this. What's
Yes,
the
this
size
room is 13 feet long, or 13, well, I got to do it. It's perspective is wrong. 13 feet on my, let's see if I can go back on. See the brick wall? That's 13 feet long.
Okay.
Where the guitars are on the TV, that's 12 feet. So 13 by 12 and 9-foot ceilings, 9.5-foot ceilings. So, it's a bedroom size situation.
Perfect.
And go ahead.
No, I think that's great. And then just kind of tell people about your monitors and how you're doing that on the side there.
All right. So on the side over here, right there is my laptop, where my hand is.
Gotcha.
Right there. The green screen is weird. I'm not mirroring myself, so I'm opposite and backwards. That's the green screen right there. I mean, that's my monitor. Let me start over. That's my laptop that's running the software, not Zoom. It's running. Well, it is running Zoom as well. But it's Ecamm Live. That's the software that I'm using. It's a production software. Unfortunately, it's only available for Macintosh, for Apple users. But equally, and for PC users, is OBS. And that's a free software. Ecamm is a monthly or annual payment, but it's not expensive at all. It's like $100 a year or something like that. Gives you, either one of those pieces of software give you tremendous opportunity to get creative and do overlays and picture, and I can be small on the screen, big in the screen, have side-by-side people, all of that Zoom does times 50. And now you sent me the link to Zoom, and I came into Zoom using my Ecamm virtual camera. So I'm inside Zoom with you, able to make all of this production work just as a Zoom viewer, Zoom participant.
Wow. Okay. And then just very quickly, those two monitors that you're standing in front of right now, the other ones besides your laptop, what are those? How are you using those?
The one in the middle, just a HP monitor, and I'm just using it as the playback for our
Podcast.
Zoom program. I can go full screen and everything, and it's there. And the other monitor is a standalone computer, a Mac computer, but I'm using a HP monitor. It's a Mac Mini, and I can run PowerPoint off of that. It's my work computer. I can add it as another camera into Ecamm, so I can have PowerPoint separately to that. I also have 4 other cameras but I'm only using one right now. Doing what I'm doing right now, I'm only using one, but I have different places around that I can turn on and talk to.
So this is the ultimate setup, but you don't really need this kind of a setup.
No, you don't.
You start with just the basic stuff, but again, it's all in your message and how you deliver it, and your amount of sizzle that you put into it, and the amount of heart you put into it. That's what really will make it, right?
Very, very true. And you and I had a quick talk before we did this a couple of days ago, and we just went over ballpark of ideas of what it might be. So what I did, and this is where you've got to be intentional. This is where you've got to think bigger than what you're normally doing. Now, you can go on to a podcast, and I've gone on many and haven't done what I'm going to share with you right now. And a guest, and I'm sitting at my desk like you are, and that's how you would see a lot of these things. But as I'm trying to put this message out to Rockstar your virtual presentation so you can wow, woo, and win your audience, I need to model that. So what I did, I thought, well, what could I use background-wise that might, make a difference and bring my point out, like I was doing a keynote. So I'm random here going on what you may or may not ask me to have a background that could be relevant to my explanation. So I'm being intentional about that. I'm thinking like a producer, creating like a producer. What might happen and how can I better tell that story? That right there is a game changer for anyone and everyone that's listening to this podcast or watching this podcast.
Okay, so say that again for us.
What can I do to make it better? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that again for us, really, because this is the game changer. So say
game changer. Think like a producer, create like a producer. What can I do to better convey my answer visually when I'm on a podcast or doing a training? What can I do besides just standing in front of a bookshelf? And now because of this technology, you know, I can do all kinds of things. I could be like and here in this venue right here, has nothing, I'm not doing any slides or anything, or graphics, but it looks better than my wall. You know, this is down in the Pearl District in San Antonio. It's a great location there. You can be in a you know, a bar or something, or a restaurant, something that looks cool, that's just different than what you would be, you know. Or you can be on wait, what? Hold on. Breaking news. Betti Coffey, host of the top-rated podcast, Morning Momentum with Coffey, has just been named, what does it say? Rockstar Host of the Week by the Rockstar Academy of Robin. What? How did that happen? What an outstanding accomplishment for Betti Coffey Presents. Oh, Betti, congratulations.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
That is so cool. I cannot believe you got that award. That's amazing.
Oh, that is so cool. So you just did that. And if somebody did that in their presentation or whatever, employee of the month or whatever, that is so cool to do. Oh my God, Zach, my producer, you taking notes here, I hope. But I mean, oh my gosh, that's awesome, Robin. That's a great idea.
This is in this production software. So, you know, obviously this is just a cityscape behind me, but it's what you see on the news a lot. And so I got the little weather up there to kind of make it, you know, real or whatever. But you can do anything you want to. And I just did that this morning real fast. But just, you can have fun with this stuff, and it makes a difference. And so this does two things. It shows that you can do whatever you want to in a presentation, that me compared to somebody else right now who's doing with their laptop, and it's kind of pointing up my face, up my nose, and there's a window behind me or a light, and I'm exaggerating because some of that has gone away, at least with our professional speakers. But a lot of times you see on Zoom calls and meetings, it's bad video. But this will stand out to people, you know, and that's what you want to do. You can even have just a basic, you know, nice slide back there, but that you can also bring in various, you know, stuff. If you want to stand out and wow your audience, if you don't stand out and wow your audience, then you blend in like every other speaker, and that's the kiss of death for the speaking industry. True, 100% true. And so you can be in a situation like this and use those kind of graphics, or you can have a moving background. This is just some little simple, barely moving like you see on some of the newscast stuff. But bottom line, you've got to, what can I do? What if? How can I make that happen? And the good news is, you can do pretty much anything you want to today. And that's why I think the virtual speaker going forward is going to have a huge opportunity compared to what we used to do, because we can have our program stand out in a bigger way than just bullet points on a big screen, and we read the bullet points. So
I just love this. I mean, we take something like COVID, and yes, we're resilient. We turn it around, and now we see this phenomenal opportunity. This is really exciting to me. I mean, it really, truly is. I am, you know, I'll be watching TV or something, and we've got all this. Something that's amazing to me is how professionals are dealing with this and what their production level is. It's been interesting. I don't want to throw out some names, but it's one of the late night show hosts that is just talking from some weird room, okay, in his house, and it's not that attractive. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, you've got all this talent, you got all this production, you got a studio, you've got a network. Why aren't you upping your game? And then I look at all the award shows that are going to be coming up, the Emmys, the Oscars. Those are not going to be done one-on-one.
No.
So I sit there and I'm thinking about how are they going to produce those, and how is that going to happen? And you can let this overwhelm you and step out and say, well, I'm not going to get into this. I'll wait till things go back to normal. Or you can embrace this change. You can reinvent yourself. It can be incredibly exciting, and rock and roll with it, and do something you've never, ever thought you could do before. And that's what I find this so exciting. I really do. This is, of course, Yeah, this is momentum.
It is momentum. And even to the people that you were referring to before, a lot of celebrities that we would see on the morning shows or their evening news or the talk shows, whatever, the momentum for them has shifted in a positive way because everyone started out really bad. That, convict look in a cell with the white wall and nothing there and kind of stuff. And they're looking down into their computer and bad audio. There were some artists, musicians who are rock stars who were invited as a guest to be on a Good Morning America or something like that. And they would do a performance and oh my goodness, it was bad. Now I have to also say this stuff is hard. That stuff is hard, doing music. On my Facebook page, for about 3 months, I did a weekly Unplugged with Robin, doing songs of the 70s and 80s. I used to have a course back in 17 when we first moved down here teaching that stuff. So I thought it'd be fun. A lot of my followers from Dallas wanted to, some music. So I started doing that. And the technology of streaming music, even speaking sometimes over the internet, the compression factor really eats up the bandwidth and it kind of break in and out and squash down the songs. Yeah. And some of the people doing that online, big guys, were having problems. I was having problems in myself. Quick story. The very first one I did, I was so pumped. I was ready and I had worked my studio and I got everything ready to go and it sounded great. And I'm listening headphones out of my mixer, which I do have a mixer over here. But I had a call with Scott McCain right before that. We were asking questions of each other. We're buddies. And so I got on a Zoom call, but I had to use my USB mic because my configuration was already set up. So Scott and I had our meeting. It's all great. And I said goodbye. And I'm like 6 minutes before I go on live on Facebook, scheduled Facebook. And so I forgot to switch back over to my mixer. I turned the USB mic off. So now my only audio piece is coming from my laptop speakers. And I've got this big studio mic up here and I've got my guitar up and I'm ready to go. And I'm leaning into this big mic here and singing into it and say, oh, guys, how you doing? I finally got the audio right. It's all good. I've been working on, I know a lot of people are having trouble with it, but I've got it going. They didn't hear that microphone. They didn't hear anything but what was coming out of my laptop from way over here. And I made comments about it later after I realized, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Because I went like 35, 40 minutes. And people said, oh, it sounded great. Well, I went back and listened to it. No, it sucked. It was not good at all. So, this is hard. I don't want you to think it's easy.
It's good to know that even professionals, big screw ups. Yeah.
Back to that other point, now though that momentum has shifted for a lot of these people, and even the award shows, they have upped their game. Yes, it's only one host in a room with the production team, but now the production team is there and they're doing some pretty cool things. I saw this kid from used to be on One Direction that was on the morning show the other day, and wow, it was awesome. They had it was a music video being shot, but it was live and the production was first class, except there was no one else in the audience. It was just them. So we do have momentum going and people are advancing their skill set. So what's important right now for speakers is to also use this time to up your game. I've done all of this in the last month. I'd already upped it one time before, and when I was doing my Facebook Lives and so forth, and I do all my coaching that way, and my courses that way. But to do it all live, I had to spend some money, I had to think creatively, and I had to put some time and effort into doing it. And that's part of being a rock star. You've got to be intentional about what you're doing. Think and create like a producer. And
you can start small, but then build on up. And then have that. And then at the end of the day, have that energy, that excitement, that inertia behind you that just resonates, is contagious. I don't care if you're 50, 100, 500 miles away. When you've got that and you get that with your audience and you get that momentum going within your audience, that it really it crushes it. Absolutely crushes it. Okay. So I know that we're kind of running out of time, but I want people to understand, first of all, let's talk about your new offering, which is going to be fantastic. It's Rockstar, your virtual presentation to the 3 W's, wow, woo, and win your audience. And I love that. So tell us about that. And then I've got one more question for you afterwards.
Okay. Um, the momentum that's happened for me going from course creating, I've got some acoustic guitar stuff. I've got a lot of speaker training over the years. I did a lot of speaker DVDs and coaching and so forth. And I brought that into a course called Rock Your Keynote that's available on my site now for a couple of years ago. What I'm doing now is current to what's happening this very moment, this topic that we're talking about. Rock Your Virtual Keynote. And the keynote is a 5-day course that you're going to get new videos released every morning. And there are 5 basic ideas about that. I'll tell you about those in a minute. But in addition to that, there's an afternoon Facebook Live Q&A in a private group. So once you go through the content that morning, you're going to have a lot of questions. So that afternoon, we're going to go through and answer every question you can think about for 5 days. And then you can stay. I'll stay a part of that throughout the month. You can ask any question as you want to, and periodically we'll have another live Q&A for that over that month. But the idea is to build some camaraderie. I've been in 3 or 4 of these types of programs recently, and the learning experience has been amazing. And so it costs some money to get into it, but it's going to save you tons of money and time by being a part of it. And it's only that much money, so it's not a lot. But the premise idea is, first of all, you've got to get ready or you fail. So you've got to begin to plan like an event planner. Then you have to up your game with technology. There's 3 levels of equipment that we're going to be talking about. So you've got to prepare like an AV director. And then the third part is, it's not a speech, it's an experience.
Right.
So you've got to create like a producer. A lot of things we've been talking about today. Number 4, you've got to rehearse like an actor. So stand out on video. Understand what it means to work with a camera, the placement of the stuff around you, be comfortable, stand up versus sit down, how to use your hands, how to know what your run of show is. In the television production world, you've got what they call a run of show. You know what's happening next, just like we do with our PowerPoint things and our keynotes and such. So you've got to practice that and understand what to do, now virtually. And again, because the technology is so different that we're having to run our own show or have a producer to help you, you've got to really be good. And a stage performer, stage actor, they do this every night, and it's the same. And they know it like they know it, like they know it. And so you've got to be that good in what you're doing in this presentation in your bedroom, as well as on a stage in front of 1,000 people. Absolutely. And then the last one is present like a rock star. You got to up your game, but you've got to be authentic. You've got to be real. You got to be likable. You got to be energetic. You got to be fun. Even with tough subjects or serious subjects, you can still engage with your audience. Absolutely. By doing that. Yes. And back to it's the one I had trouble saying. It's not a speech. It's an experience. Engagement is key with that. Now in Zoom, whether you're using breakouts or you're using polling, how are you? Let me ask you, Betti, do you like hot apple pie?
Oh yeah, anything with a dessert.
Right. Okay. Just using someone to raise their hand, that's engagement. You don't necessarily have to use a digital polling service to do that. You can break it up. And when you go into breakout rooms, have relevant questions that make a difference to the presentation. I've gone to several of these, and you get into a breakout room. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm
going to sleep now.
So what are we supposed to be doing? I like spaghetti a lot. I like spaghetti, but they're trying to do it from a networking standpoint, but you don't do that when in real life. So if you're going to go and you're going to integrate with someone else, it's a good thing. You're going to meet new people. But talk about something that's relevant. When I'm presenting this to different groups and audiences who are speakers and presenters and salespeople and so forth, getting them in and talking about the equipment they have or they don't have. What's their vision of their virtual image? And that's the other thing at the very beginning. Craft your vision. Where do you want that momentum to take you? So you go, okay, that's my goal. That's what I'm shooting for. You've got to know that first. So at the very end, when you put all that together and now you're on stage with excitement and energy and you're being authentic, that's when you present like a rock star. And so that's the idea of the course. You walk away learning a whole lot. You also walk away with a lot of questions. Awesome. Inside the live Q&A every day, you're going to get a chance to have your questions answered. That's so the takeaway is that you walk away from there going, okay, I can do this. I can't do what she's going to do, but I know I can up my game and be better at what I'm doing. So that's the cool part about it. Everyone wins.
That's going to be a great program. And we're going to run in a minute here your contact information. But I've got one question, the last question, and then we'll go into contact information. Your personality has absolutely jumped off the screen today, and you are so much fun to work with and everything else. Tell people what it's like to work with you. If they want to work with you, if they want to call you or email you or text you or get the ball rolling and they want to work with you, what's it like to work with Robin Creasman?
Great question. And I'm a jerk face and I never get a repeat client and I can't even get a client. It's just been so.
Okay, you do another podcast.
Just kidding for you listeners out there. I'm just kidding. You know what? This is funny that you asked me. In my speaking coaching days, which I was doing it full time, I do it periodically in the last year since I've been down here, but I'm ramping that up again. A lot of my clients called me the Simon Cowell of the speaking industry, but with a smile on my face. And I love people and I want to encourage people. I want to make them better. I want to share my insights with them and help them. But the Simon Cowell reference came because they said I was a truth teller, and I am. Coming from the world of entertainment, man, it's cutthroat. If you don't cut it, whether you're a musician, an actor, or entertainer, whatever it might be, you're gone. Why? Because there's a line of 1,000 people behind you that are wanting an opportunity. So there's no second chances, or very rarely a second chance. So you've got to be really, really good at what you do. And then on top of that, as a producer, I was doing all these videos for speakers and they were sending me all their footage. And in a lot of these bigger events, you're going to have the single camera, which is the IMAG camera, which is basically what we're looking at right now. And then you've got a wide shot, and then you've got maybe one or two other cameras that are roaming the room doing crowd shots. So what I'm seeing a lot of times in those other cameras,
for those of you that are listening,
not listening,
something up.
They're looking at their phone.
That's right.
Making notes on something. They're asleep. And so, do I tell the speaker that? Or do I, blow smoke? Well, it's, I would ask early on when I was just doing their video, and they would ask me, and we would talk a little bit about that, which in my sharing truth to them led to me coaching, because my goal was to always make them better. And so, you know what, John, your second point, you were talking about such and such on customer experience, but you never finished that statement and kind of left me hanging. And I'm really interested in what you mean when your employees need to engage their audience by, and that the buy thing with the actual result, what were you talking about? No, I say it all the time. By being nice and friendly and so, you didn't really say that. No, I said that. John, look at this footage right here. Here's three versions of your speech. You don't say it every time. Something keys you and kicks you out of there. So, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Things like that would come up, and that led to me being a coach. And so I've got.
So in other words, you've got what it takes to help people grow, and you bring a caring, really coaching attitude to working with people. And that's what really makes a difference, right?
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. There's nothing, no negative stuff, no attitude things. If there's a learning lesson, we preface it. Here it is, what's going on. But the bottom line, we can't fix ourselves. I can't fix myself. Larry Wing's been a coach of mine. I've gone and spent time with Larry, spent a lot of money to learn from him. Randy Pennington was one of my best buddies. Victoria LeBon, one of my best buddies, but longtime clients. But learning from each other is very, very helpful. And they see things in me that I don't see myself, and vice versa. And so by sharing that, because no one's going to come up to you after your event if they thought you were terrible, go, oh, you were terrible. You know, I didn't get it. You're not funny at all. They're going to say, oh, hey, Robin, good job, man. Thanks for coming. You know, so
you're going to be candid. You're going to be honest. You're going to give good feedback.
In a very positive way. And so people come to me and we can, on several levels, rewrite their whole keynote, was what I was doing before. It's not so much applicable now. And then just coaching, being a voice for them, listen, an ear for them. So hourly coaching or daytime coaching or scheduled out a period of time for coaching is what I had been doing. And now that I'm doing the virtual side of this, I want to be able to be a coach to walk people through how to do what I'm doing and others are doing so they can up their game. A lot of it's technology, a lot of it's mindset, but it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. A lot of it used to be in person, but most of the last several years has been on Zoom calls. And so if you're interested, reach out to me.
That's wonderful. Okay, so to reach out to you, it's Robin Creasman, Creasman. And Robin, give him your phone number and your email address.
Phone number is 214-738-4336. It's a Dallas number, but we're down in the Hill Country. 214-738-4336. And Robin at robincreasman.com. Actually, easier, Robin at rockstarspeaker.com. Easier to remember and spell. Robin at rockstarspeaker.com. And Canadian Speaker Magazine gave me that name, so I'm not just.
I have no doubt.
They called me the Rockstar Speaker, and I've used it all these years because that's what I talk about. So Robin, Robin at Rockstar Speaker.
Wonderful. Robin, I can't thank you enough. You've got so much to share. And gosh, we could have gone on for hours and hours, but I want to thank you so much. There's that runner going on the bottom there. Oh my gosh, there it is. You
can go to rockstaryourvirtual.com, rockstaryourvirtual.com to learn more about the course. The course is called that, Rockstar Your Virtual Presentation. So you can wow, woo, and win your audience. And that comes out first week of October.
Right.
And here's this for your audience, Betti, there's a discount code. If they use the code, the word momentum, they're going to get a break from $197 down to $127. So
awesome.
That savings is $70. And I promise you, it's a
password code.
Well worth it.
Great.
Momentum is the word.
Thank you, Robin. And thank you for being a guest on Morning Momentum with Coffee. You've been absolutely fantastic. You are a wealth of information, absolute wealth of fountain of information, and an absolute pleasure to work with. You're fun, exciting. And every time I have spoken with you, and I really mean this for my audience, every time I have worked and spoken with Robin, I have learned so much. So that's what you're going to get with working with him. So, okay, thank you. And you have generated so much momentum today. Thank you, sir. To my guest, thank you very much for joining our podcast. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have the right mindset, generate momentum behind it, and you will achieve everything, including being a rock star. So, okay, see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Morning Momentum with Coffee. Momentum matters more than strength. Your persistence will always win. Drive change, ignite cultures, and accelerate growth with your own personal momentum. To find out more about Betti, follow her on Facebook at Betti Coffee Presents for more inspiring stories just like this one. If you liked what you heard, leave us a rating and review. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to Morning Momentum with Coffee on your favorite podcasting platform. And remember, the greater the momentum, the harder it is to stop. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation creates opportunity. And opportunity creates results. See you next time.